This young woman finally had her wishes come true when she toured a national park. However, an unexpected encounter with a gorilla and what it did to her left everyone in shock. As the jeep crossed the savannah, Paulina's gaze fell upon a group of giraffes and African buffaloes grazing in the distance. She felt her heart burst with excitement. She had always been captivated by the majestic creatures she saw in TV documentaries. From lions to elephants, she dreamed of witnessing them in their natural habitat. In that day, she finally got the chance she had been waiting for. She had recently earned a month's leave from work, and she knew exactly how she wanted to spend it. An adventure to a national park far away from her home country. Africa seemed like a world away, but she couldn't wait to experience the thrill of being surrounded by nature's wonders. And now that she was right in the middle of it, she felt like she was living a dream come true. As the tour progressed, the anticipation grew, especially for the most exciting part, the gorilla section. Paulina couldn't contain her excitement at the thought of finally meeting her favorite animals. However, before they set off for this thrilling adventure, the guide issued a stern warning. Stay close and never wander off into the jungle alone. Paulina nodded in agreement, unaware of the unexpected encounter awaiting her. As they drove deeper into the vast jungle, the vehicles came to a halt. The guides informed her that they were close to where the gorillas roamed and urged her to be patient. They emphasized the importance of staying at a distance, as gorillas were territorial creatures. Paulina eagerly listened, her heart racing with anticipation. Despite the excitement, she felt an urgent need to relieve herself. She explained her situation to the guides, who pointed her to a spot not too far away where she could go. They assured her they would keep watch in case of emergencies. Paulina hurried off, hoping that by the time she returned, they would have spotted the gorillas. As she reached the spot to relieve herself, she encountered an unexpected problem. She couldn't go. No matter how hard she tried, her bladder felt like it was about to burst, yet she couldn't ease herself. She realized she was experiencing a shy bladder, a situation where one struggles to urinate due to anxiety or feeling observed. Paulina wasn't accustomed to relieving herself in public, and the pressure was overwhelming. With her bladder ready to explode, Paulina made a risky decision. Ignoring the guide's warning, she ventured further into the jungle alone, desperate to find a secluded spot where she could finally relieve herself. She knew it was against the rules, but the urgency was too great to ignore. Finally, deep in the heart of the jungle, Paulina found a secluded spot. With a sigh of relief, she finally let go, feeling the weight lift off her shoulders. The jungle around her seemed to sigh in harmony, the sounds of nature masking her own. It was a moment of pure liberation amidst the dense foliage. Zipping up her pants, Paulina turned to head back to the others, but something inside her made her pause. She couldn't resist the allure of the beautiful scenery and the tranquility of the jungle surrounding her. Perhaps she could capture a hummingbird or a busy bee with her camera. Despite the unnerving quietness of the jungle, Paulina pressed on, promising herself she'd return to her group soon. As she ventured farther into the jungle, Paulina felt a shiver of fear. The silence seemed to close in around her, making her heart race with uncertainty. Yet the desire to explore pushed her forward, even as a sense of unease settled in the pit of her stomach. But suddenly, the tranquility was shattered by the sound of twigs breaking nearby. Paulina froze in her tracks, her senses on high alert. Scared, she turned towards the source of the noise, hoping for safety. What she saw made her blood run cold. In the dim light filtering through the dense foliage, Paulina saw a dark figure looming nearby. Its massive size sent a jolt of terror through her veins, paralyzing her with fear. She could feel her breath coming in shaky gasps as her heart pounding against her chest. Contemplating whether to run or try to sneak away, Paulina was torn between fear and instinct. Before she could make a decision, the creature noticed her. With a sinking feeling, Paulina realized the magnitude of her predicament. Right in front of her stood a massive and majestic gorilla, its powerful presence sending a shiver down her spine. Frozen in fear, Paulina could hardly believe her eyes. She had expected to encounter gorillas during her tour, but she never imagined it would be under such terrifying circumstances. As the gorilla approached, Paulina felt a sense of dread washing over her. This was not the memorable encounter she had anticipated. With her heart pounding in her chest, she prayed for a miracle, hoping that by some stroke of luck, her tour guides would come looking for her. But as the realization sank in that she had wandered far from the group, deep into the heart of the jungle, Paulina knew her chances of rescue were slim. Lost and alone, she could only hope and pray for a way out of this perilous situation. Paulina realized she had trespassed into the gorilla's territory when it bared its teeth at her, roaring in a deafening manner. Frozen with fear, she didn't know what to do. As she stood before the powerful creature, shivering in terror, she knew that gorillas were immensely strong, capable of causing serious harm without much effort. Remembering a survival tip she had read about bears, Paulina decided to employ a similar strategy. She collapsed to the ground, hoping to feign death and avoid the gorilla's aggression. Struggling to control her breathing, Paulina lay still on the forest floor, her heart pounding in her chest. Despite her efforts to appear lifeless, fear pulsed through her veins, causing her breathing to quicken. She could hear the powerful footsteps of the gorilla approaching, its presence looming over her like a dark shadow. As the gorilla drew near, Paulina braced herself for the worst. However, to her astonishment, she felt gentle hands on her limbs, lifting her effortlessly from the ground. Opening her eyes, she saw the gorilla carrying her deeper into the forest. Panic surged through her veins as she realized she was at the mercy of a wild animal, fearing for her life. Soon they reached a clearing in the jungle, and Paulina's heart raced with fear. Instead of tossing her aside recklessly, the gorilla did the most unexpected thing for a wild animal. It carefully placed her on the ground, its movements surprisingly gentle. Despite this unexpected act of kindness, Polly remained wary, unsure of the gorilla's intentions. She watched in apprehension as it stood nearby, its gaze fixed upon her, leaving her feeling vulnerable and afraid, wondering what would happen next. Paulina never expected the surprises that awaited her. As she was placed on the ground, the gorilla walked quietly a short distance away and sat there, observing her. Paulina, exhausted from playing dead and overwhelmed by the unexpected encounter, Paulina sat down in front of her, its gaze fixed upon her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. Trembling with fear, Paulina couldn't bring herself to maintain eye contact with the powerful creature. She felt the mixture of awe and terror as she stared at the gorilla's huge body, unsure of what would happen next. Despite her fear, Paulina couldn't help but feel a sense of connection with the gorilla. There was something in its gaze that seemed to convey understanding and empathy, as if it could sense her fear and uncertainty. At that moment, Paulina realized that perhaps the gorilla wasn't a threat, but rather a fellow creature of the jungle, sharing the same space and the same struggles for survival. In that moment of eye contact, Paulina sensed there was something different about the gorilla. A thought struck her. What if it was just amused and curious about her? Besides, if the gorilla wanted to harm her, it would have done so. With this realization, Paulina felt a wave of relief wash over her. Trusting her instincts, she slowly sat down and observed the gorilla, noticing a gentle curiosity in its eyes. She could see in its eyes that it meant no harm. Wanting to be sure, she reached for her backpack slowly, the gorilla's eyes following her every movement. She brought out a loaf of bread, raising it to the gorilla, who looked at it curiously, trying to understand her gestures. Seeing the confusion in the gorilla's eyes, Paulina took a chunk of the bread and put it in her mouth. With his eyes opening wide in realization, the gorilla grabbed a chunk from the bread and ate, too, gesturing for more. Paulina obliged, offering him more bread, which he eagerly accepted. As they shared the bread, a silent understanding seemed to form between them. Now that the bread was finished, they stared at each other, the fear Paulina had been feeling gradually washing away. She found herself enjoying this unexpected moment with the gorilla and its curiosity. It was a beautiful exchange, one that Paulina would never forget. Searching her backpack again, Paulina found the last bananas tucked away inside. She brought them out, offering one to the gorilla, who mimicked all her actions. He ate the banana in the same manner as she did, their shared meal cementing their bond even further. It was a simple yet profound moment of connection between two beings from different worlds. With a sense of calm settling over her, and the immediate danger no longer looming as she had feared, Paulina knew she had to contact the tour guides and the rest of the team. She realized she couldn't find her way back to the lodge alone. Remembering her phone, she quickly dialed the tour guide's number. Fortunately, she was able to get a good signal. Unfortunately, when the tour guides picked up, the network signal wasn't strong enough for clear communication. Their voices fluctuated, and neither party could hear each other properly. Meanwhile, Paulina found herself growing comfortable with the gorilla and its playful antics. She marveled at how it mimicked her movements and seemed to understand her gestures. As she stood up to hang her backpack on her shoulders, she wasn't prepared for the incredible gesture the gorilla would make next. Unexpectedly, the gorilla approached her and gestured for her to turn and climb onto its back, mirroring her actions with the backpack. Taken aback by the gesture, Paulina hesitated for a moment before deciding to oblige. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, she climbed onto the gorilla's back, holding on tightly as it prepared to move. With her fear replaced by a sense of excitement from the unexpected adventure with the gorilla, Paulina rode on its back, marveling at the connection she felt with the majestic creature. It dawned on her that the gorilla, initially roaring and attempting to scare her, had likely felt remorse when she collapsed in fear. His gentle actions of carrying her away and placing her carefully on the ground spoke volumes about his intentions. Since then, he had been observing her, amused by her movements and expressions, mimicking every gesture she made. As the gorilla carried her through the forest, Paulina felt a sense of familiarity with the rugged terrain. She knew they were close to where she had left the rest of her group. The kindness of the gorilla in helping her find her way filled her with overwhelming emotions. However, just as Paulina and the gorilla were making their way through the forest, the unexpected happened. The tour guides, who had been tirelessly searching for her, came into view. Their puzzled expressions spoke volumes as they witnessed the surreal sight before them. Unable to believe their eyes, the tour guides rubbed their eyes, wondering if they were dreaming. The sight of the majestic creature carrying Paulina on its shoulders left them speechless, their minds struggling to comprehend what they were seeing. Startled by the sudden appearance of the tour guides, the gorilla paused, and Paulina carefully dismounted from his back. She reassured the tour guides not to panic or make any sudden movement that might agitate the gorilla. She explained that the gorilla had not harmed her, and that she had formed a bond with the creature during their time together. Speaking softly, Paulina gestured for the gorilla to return to the woods. To her amazement, the gorilla seemed to understand her words. In a heartwarming display of understanding, the gorilla did the most incredible act when he pulled Paulina closer and hugged her, planting a gentle kiss on her hair. The onlookers, including the tour guides, were left in awe at the remarkable scene unfolding before them. Gorillas, much like humans, express emotions through physical gestures such as hugging and kissing. Witnessing this emotional exchange between Paulina and the gorilla had filled everyone's hearts with warmth and wonder. Slowly, they watched as the creature disappeared into the depths of the jungle. Paulina couldn't discern whether the source of her excitement stemmed from being safely reunited with humans or from the unexpected encounter with the gorilla. Nonetheless, she was filled with happiness. As she sat in the vehicle with the tour guides, they observed her for any signs of injury, but to their relief, she appeared unharmed. Still reeling from the shock of the encounter, they prepared to drive her back to her lodge. Along the way, they bombarded her with questions, pondering how such a wild creature could suddenly become calm and relaxed in the presence of humans. Paulina recounted her total experience to them, and they were all amazed at the unexpected behavior of the gorilla. Paulina recounted her total experience to them, and they were all amazed at the unexpected behavior of the gorilla. That night, as Paulina settled into her lodge, she reflected on the day's events at the park. She knew she was fortunate to have had such a wonderful and amazing experience, one that many people wouldn't believe and only a few had the opportunity to witness. Although she had hoped to encounter the gorillas, which were the center of her attraction in the animal world, she never expected the encounter to unfold in such a scary yet beautiful manner. She realized she had received more than she had wished for. Throughout her visit to the park, Paulina had encountered and seen various animals, including giraffes, elephants, and had a memorable experience with the chimpanzees. However, the most memorable of them all was her unexpected encounter with the gorilla. She knew that moment would forever be engraved in her memory. And judging by the way the word spread when she returned to base camp, it would also be engraved in everybody else's memory. The tour guides recounted her amazing story left and right, and by the following morning, Paulina had turned into a local star. Every tourist staying at her camp wanted to hear the story from her own mouth, and she lost count of the time she repeated it to both adults and children. Days later, she was surprised to discover that her story had even reached a local journalist, who had published an article about her special adventures in the savannah that had already gone viral. She was a jungle celebrity now, and she owed it all to the gentle gorilla who had almost scared her to death. When she left Africa at the end of her trip, she decided she would come back as soon as possible for another adventure, possibly one that didn't entail her dropping to the ground pretending to be dead or being scared out of her mind in front of her creature twice as big as her. What a shocking adventure! How would you have felt if you had been in Paulina's place, turning around in the jungle to face a huge gorilla? Would you ever venture in the forest by yourself like she did? Tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.